All right, so I have most everything set up, I feel, and I'm ready to get started. This is Votes for Women. If you haven't already saw, I did an unboxing of this game, a live unboxing in the live video section of our YouTube page, so check that out. But this time I'm actually going to play through the game. This game normally I think is ideally meant to be played 1v1. The rules allow for I think a 2v1 game, and then in this case I'm playing solo against what's called the Opplebot, which is a deck-driven AI system or card-driven AI system. So the gameplay rules are actually quite similar for a solo game, other than the fact you're playing against this AI deck. But as the human player, you're pretty much doing the exact same thing. The objective is exactly the same as well, in that you want to have at least 13 states ratify the 19th Amendment. So, first thing you have to do, though, before you can even have the states vote, is pass it in Congress, and that's what these tokens represent. You need all six of these out in order to actually begin allowing the states to vote. And then during the course of the game, I'm going to be applying influence to the states, as well as the Applebot player, who's representing opposition for women's suffrage, will be placing influence cubes in the various states. So we'll go ahead and get started here for the very first turn. So we're in turn one. That's track down here. We skip what's called the strategy phase because we don't have any resources, which are represented by these buttons, to even to bid on these strategy cards. But eventually, we'll have the ability to bid on these resource cards, and the suffrage player goes first. And there is this card called the Seneca Falls Convention, which has to be played first by the suffrage player. And as it says on the card, I add one purple campaigner, one orange campaigner, and then in the Northeast region, receive two buttons and add two purple or orange in New York. So I'll do all that right now. I'll put this over, make a discard pile there. And that's kind of actually like a setup card. Instead of just having that be part of the setup directions, the game decided to just have it be the first card the suffrage player uses. So I have the two campaigners in the Northeast region, and then I take two buttons in my supply, and then I get to choose if I want two purple, two orange, or a purple and orange cube in New York. And I was watching a little bit of someone else's playthrough in which they said it's generally good to try to divide up the cube colors as much as possible. It doesn't quite make clear why they have two different cube colors in the game. Both are representing people supporting the suffrage movement, however. So these go in New York. And I should read the flavor text. This game is definitely meant to be educational and teach you about the actual, not just, be a game, but teach you about the suffrage movement. So the Seneca Falls Convention, as said on the card here, was led by Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott. The resulting declaration of sentiments helped advance and shape the struggle for women's suffrage. So there's that. And after I play a card, then it is the Applebot's turn. And the Applebot player also actually has a starting card for start of round one, turn 1, 3, and 5. So we'll do exactly what their card says to kick things off, which is called the Patriarchy. Add one of their campaigners in the South region, and then add one cube in each state in the Northeast region, the Atlantic and Appalachia region, the South region, and the Midwest. So they are kind of patriarchy starts off strong with a lot of presence on the eastern half of the United States. Yeah, I'll put that over here for the opposition players. So bear with me as I start placing this significant amount of cubes out for the opposition player. And again, this is something that they're going to be doing at the start of every game. So you could technically say this is almost part of the setup, but regardless, this is what the suffrage movement's going to have to overcome. And over here on the left, by the way, are what's called state cards. Once either side, so the opposition player could get them as well, but once either side has 4 influence cubes in one of those states, they then get the benefit of receiving that state card. And each state card provides a nice bonus to the player that is able to have it awarded to them. So in short, prioritizing those states is important. And for this last cube, that's actually going to go into New York. The rules are clear. You never have cubes from both sides in one state. So if you ever are going to place a cube of the other side in a state where the other side already has cubes, you just remove one of the other side's cubes. And I can choose. I'm going to go with yellow. I don't know if that will matter much. We'll find out as we play through the game. So that was the Applebot's turn. Now it's back to me. And now I actually have to make a decision on what card to play here. When you play a card, you can either play it for the event that's listed on the card. Each card has a unique effect that kind of simulates what the historical event associated with that card. And we know I have Pioneer Woman here, which says add. I'll just kind of show them up close here. Oops. So we have Pioneer Woman, add that. So this is good for basically getting presence in the Plains region, which there are 2 states that we want, 2 state cards in the Plains region that are worth going after. So that could be a good event to do. Vindication of the Rights of Women. Draw 2 cards from your draw deck, discard 1 card, and play the other card for its event immediately. I'm not exactly sure when or why you would play this card, but that's what that card says it does. 15th Amendment, playable if the Civil War is not in effect. Roll d6 on a roll of 3 to 6. Add 2 in Congress and add 3 cubes anywhere, or no more than 2 per state. That sounds strong because it gets 2 of those congressional tokens out on the board, which I need. So I might look at doing that one. Play both Civil War is not in effect. Add 1 of those cubes and 1 purple or white, yellow cube in each. I mean, I guess it's just the scary part is with the 15th out of 15th Amendment card. I guess if you miss your roll, you nothing would happen. However, these button tokens that I got from starting off with that Seneca Falls Convention do allow me to I can exhaust these basically for rerolls. So I do have 2 rerolls essentially at my disposal. So this one's just not nearly as strong, I would say, as that 15th Amendment card, but there's no dice rolling. The Union Signal, receive 1 button and add 1 cube in each state of each region. That's not too shabby. And then Sojourner Truth is going after that Midwest region. Well, part of me, since we have 2 states for the Plains region, and there's no cubes over there right now, part of me is wanting to do the Pioneer Woman card. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it and see what happens. So I roll this white D8, and I'll use my friend Spencer's dice cup for this. Thank you, Spencer, if you're watching. I do have the opportunity to re-roll, but I'm looking for an 8 because if I have 8, that means I'm placing 4 cubes in. Oh, sorry, never mind. It says no more than 1 per state. I got a little overly excited. I'm still gonna do this, and it's a 1, so literally the worst possible roll. I feel like I have to spend a button for a re-roll. Oof. This was maybe a bad idea, but it's the first time I'm playing this game, so you know what? Okay, I'm re-rolling again. Gosh, this is horrible. Women's suffrage is at risk. Okay, 6. Much more acceptable. So it can be 6 purple or yellow, according to the card. No more than 1 per state. So I'm gonna, again, as I said earlier, I think a general strategy is you want to try to divide up the colors as much as you can. So of course I'm going to place 1 in Kansas, 1 in Montana to take advantage of trying to go after those state cards. And then for my other 4, if I played this before, maybe I would know why I would want certain cubes in prioritize certain states over others. But I'm just going to do that. All right. That's my turn. Back to the Applebot player. So Applebot flips their next card, which is this. Oh, geez. So now this is the Civil War. So now I'm thinking I made a mistake by not playing one of those Civil War cards. Play if it is round 1, 2, or 3 of the current turn. Remove 1 from Congress. For the remainder of this turn, the suffragist player may not add cubes to any state in the Atlantic and Appalachia South regions. Atlantic and Appalachia and South regions. And then it says, Southern states ceded from the Union in order to maintain the institution of slavery, a system of human bondage rooted in white supremacy. So this actually is a pretty strong card for this Applebot player. But oh yeah, and this is this symbol is a recurring card, so there's a spot for that. I keep this here to remind me now for the rest of this turn. I'm not able to place any cubes in this region, which is not good. And I don't have to remove any of my tokens, the congressional tokens, because I never got any there yet. So I guess that's one good thing. But that was the Applebot's player back to me. And now I know I'm not going to bother playing anything that would affect down there. And I can't play the Women's Rights Convention card for its event or that 15th Amendment. So both of these 2 cards I can use for other purposes, but I can't use for so New York, you know what? I'm going to try to do a campaign action, which I believe is yeah, so it says I roll a blue, this blue, it's not a D4 per se. You guys, that was embarrassing. It's not a D4, but the numbers on these dice are only 1 to 4. Forget how many sides these actually have. But I roll 1 of these for each of my campaigners in play. And I'm just going to, it doesn't matter which of those cards. I'm going to say I'm using it. I'm going to use this National Women's Rights card. So So now I roll both dice. Unfortunately, I'm out of my buttons, so I can't re-roll. I have to take whatever I get. Oh my god. Oh, okay. Sorry. And I go, this is not going to be a good game. Okay, so I rolled a 1 and a 2. And I think when I'm playing, I assign a die to each of my campaigners. So I'll just give the 2, 1 to the purple, 2 to the yellow. Okay. And what I'm going to do is place 2 then yellow cubes in New York, along with 1 purple cube in New York. And that means I have now a pretty good foothold of women's support in New York, enough so that I get the New York State card. And if you're wondering what that does, it says add 6 cubes, or so again, these normally could be 1 by either side. So 6 of my cubes or 6 of the opposition in the Northeast region, no more than 2 per state. So I'm gonna go. I think the rules are that immediately after you get access to this kind of card, you can use it. So I am going to use it, and I'm going to try to go after the. Of course, I'm going to go after then New Jersey, since that's the other state that's provides benefit. That has a state card out there. So for that, I actually don't need all the cubes because I'm bumping. So it's New Jersey. So I'm taking, one of the cubes is going to be spent to take out one of the opposition cubes, and then I'm going to put one of my cubes there. So that's 2 cubes of mine that I've placed so far, and then I have 4 more that I can place. Actually, I don't need any of these because the card said no more than 2 per state. Yeah, I guess there's really no. I don't know if there's any reason for me to take to. I don't know if it's more beneficial for me to remove presents altogether, or I'm going to assume it's better for me to remove presents altogether. So I'm just going to take away all of those cubes. Obviously, I'm not getting any more on the board, but at least I've taken out most of the influence of the opposition, and then I think this just gets discarded. I'm just gonna keep it to the side over there. That's my turn. Now we go back to the Oppobot's turn. See what they play next. Southern Resentment. Play if 15th Amendment is in effect. Add 1 orange in each of Texas. So the rules are, and this says, as the Reconstruction dragged on, a resentment of Northern influence and black citizenship rose, fostering backlash and political progress in the South. But it's, since the 15th Amendment is not in effect, I instead do the other option that the Oppobot player does, which is a campaign action. And so when the Oppobot when the Oppobot plays a card for the campaigning action, roll a d6. So I'll do that now. This is going to determine what region the campaigning is going to take effect in. I rolled a 2. So I move their campaigner to 2, which is over in the plains. I'm not liking that so far. I said if there are 2 available state cards. If there are no available state cards. Okay, sorry. When the Applebot plays a card, if there's an available unclaimed state card from the region, which there's 2, Kansas and Montana, the Applebot will pick one at random. So 1, 2, 3 Montana, 4, 5, 6 Kansas. So Montana. And then okay, I'm rolling the blue die to see how many cubes are going to get added to Montana. And of course, Applebot rolls a 4. So that's not fun. Thankfully, since I do have 1 cube there, it prevents the Applebot player from actually getting control of the state, because then their first cube just removes my presence. But they're just 1 cube away now from taking over Montana. So with that said, sorry guys. So now it goes back to me. That gets discarded, we'll say, for the Applebot player. And then I could go for the Midwest region with Sojourner Truth. The D8 is so risky because if I roll a 1, that's like makes that card almost useless. Receive 1 button and then add 1 in each state of, and add 1 in 1 state of each region. That at least is a guaranteed 6. See, now I'm realizing having to roll for things is not necessarily helpful. I could do another 15th Amendment, or sorry, use my 15th Amendment for another campaigning action, but you know, but the problem with this adding 1 state to each region is that I'm not going to be able to actually use it for the benefit for South and Atlantic and Appalachia. So the other action, so the organizing action just gives me buttons for the number of campaigners I have, so I'd get 2 buttons if I wanted to use a card for that action, and I could also use it for lobbying. And then I just roll red sixes for the number of campaigners I have, or d6s for the number of campaigners I have, which is 2. So I roll 2 d6s, and if I get a 6, I can add one of these to Congress. But the problem is getting a 6 is there's no guarantee I'm going to get 6s, so that action could be a complete waste as well. But I have to do something. So part of me, I think I'm just going to use this Union Signal card because it at least guarantees to give me stuff. I get a button and then one cube in each state, one state of each region. Now again, unfortunately, I'm not able to put cubes in those two regions because of the Civil War, but at least I get. So for the West Coast, you know what? There's no state on the West. There's no state card for the West Coast, so I don't think it really matters. I'm going to assume California is important nonetheless. I'm going to put one in California. Over here in the Plains region, I'm just going to take away one of the cubes that was in the Montana state. Or honestly, it's making me wonder if I should instead try to double down and go for Kansas and just sacrifice. I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to put one in Kansas. Midwest, Ohio's the state that has a state card, so that'll be the place where I would take action there. And then over here in the Northeast, again, we have New Jersey as a state card, so I think logically I'm going to go for taking control of Okay, so that was my turn. Now we go back to the Applebot player. And we'll see what they're up to. South Dakota rejects suffrage. Play if there is at least one Congress token in Congress. Which there's not. Which means they're going to do another campaign action. Which means I roll the d6 first to see what region the Applebot campaigner goes to. I rolled a 4. They go to 4, which is Midwest. And that means they're maybe going to try to go for Ohio, because now I roll. That's the one state in the Midwest that has a state card. Still a great roll. 3. So unfortunately that does mean 3 cubes are going in Ohio. So I don't know. I'm not gonna say Ohio's a lost cause, but it's not looking good. Okay, so that was Applebot's turn. Now it's back to me. And play it. Civil War's not in effects. Again, I can't use it for this. Draw 2 cards from your draw deck, discard 1 card. See, now I'm actually thinking a Vindication of the Rights of Women could be an interesting card to try, just because I have no idea. I mean, I'm not very excited about the 2 events I have right now in front of me. So I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to play this, which says draw 2 cards. And then, by the way, in case of we're wondering what the event for this one says, written by, oops, sorry about the shakiness. Written by Mary Wollstonecraft in 1792, the influential book argued women are not property nor ornaments and deserve the same rights as men. So I guess a vindication of the rights of women was a paper or book or some sort. So learn something new right there. Okay, so yeah, draw 2 cards from your draw deck. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I guess this technically is discarded. And let's take a look at what I drew. So Anna Dickinson received 1 button and add 1 to 1 state of each region. Okay, it's not horrible. Or Susan B. Anthony indicted, received 1 button and add, literally same 2 effects. So, I don't know Susan Anthony. In 1872, Anthony was one of many suffragists who tried to illegally cast a ballot for president, attempting to force the courts to decide. Interesting. Well, I guess that makes sense, but that's cool. I didn't know that. Anyway, it doesn't. There's no choice here. They both do the same exact thing. So okay. Well, I'll do this one just because I think it sounds more interesting. Susan B. Anthony indicted. So I add a button. I get a button. So now I at least have 2 buttons, and add a cube in one state of each region. And I think I follow my same general strategy here. Well, I don't know. Now that I started California, do I just go for California? I don't know. Like having you need 4 in a state, so Midwest. I guess I'm gonna continue my, or Plains. I mean, continue my attack on Kansas. Midwest, we gotta fight in Ohio, so I'm gonna take a cube away from the Applebot player there. New Jersey, hey, almost there. Just one more, and then we have that New Jersey card. So, all right. Next, Applebot's card. Senator Joseph Brown. Play if there is at least one. There's not. Jeez, there's a lot of those cards though. Like I mean, it makes me think it's not even worth trying to get tokens in that space. Okay, so campaigner action again for the Applebot. So let's see what region their campaigner moves to. Takes its flight over to the back to the plains. Oh geez, this is going to be the end of Montana. It's pretty much guaranteed. Because they just need 1, and that's the minimum roll that he can get. And he gets 3. So So 3 cubes go to Montana, which unfortunately immediately give the card of Montana to the Applebot player. Oh, okay. I was about to say, the card effect was gain 2 buttons, and but the Applebot can't take buttons. And then, of course, thankfully it says Applebot, add 3 to 2 states determined at random. Okay, so I think to do that, you do 2 dice. You do the 8-sided and the 6-sided together. Sorry. So I rolled a 2 region and a 1. Oh, that's really weird. Would be Montana again. I don't know if they need to place any more cubes there. Oh, okay, let me see if it talks about this in the rules. I don't think there's any... this feels really scummy, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and put 3 more in Montana. Because the rules don't say there's any limit to the amount of cubes in a state. And when it says in the... Some cards add cubes without specifying a state. Then you just do what I re-roll like I just did. And yeah, as long as there's no check mark or X, that's the only thing that would make me re-roll. Okay, well that's the first state. I guess technically I could roll Montana again, but I didn't. I got 1 and 5. 1 and 5 would be 1 and 5, so 3 to Nevada. Okay, so kind of I don't know if that was a good turn or not for this Appobot player, but either way, it's back to me. And I have Sojourner Truth, or I think I'm going to try Sojourner Truth now, which allows me to roll the D8, and I get that many cubes to add in the Midwest. So I got 5. I'll take the 5 cubes. And with that, I'm just removing presents. So I'm removing one from Ohio for my first cube. There's no other Midwest state, so it really doesn't matter. So then I'm going to go 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's that. And then the Appobot, I think, plays their final card for the turn, which is Border States. And it says add 1 in each of Delaware, Maryland, West Virginia, Kentucky, and Missouri. All right. So Delaware. Oh, Delaware's there. All right. And this one said, border states complicate the simplistic narrative of the Civil War as North versus South, and they proved to be difficult ground for suffragists after the war. Okay. So anyway, Delaware gets 1. Maryland gets 1. No, that's Massachusetts. Oops. Oh, Maryland. Maryland gets 1. West Virginia gets 1. Kentucky gets 1. And Missouri gets 1. All right. So now we've played 6 cards. There are 6 rounds. After the 6 rounds, the operation phase of the operation player, the cleanup phase is next. So at the end of turns 1 through 5, any cards in the cards in effect for the rest of the turn are placed in the appropriate discard. So this Appobot card's now discarded. Civil War is officially over. Each player should have 1 card in their hand to carry over, which I do. Oops. I made a mistake somehow. I meant to keep this card. And there. Okay, that's fixed. So I do have 1 card left. And the turn marker goes up to 1. Okay, so now we move into the strategy phase. We didn't have this on the first turn because it wasn't necessary. Or you just don't have it on the first turn. But now we have the option of trying to bid for yeah, so this is basically, if I wanted to, I could spend 1 or 2 of my buttons to kind of bid on any of these strategy cards. The problem is then the Appobot player rolls the D4 die, and if they get equal to or higher than whatever I'm bidding, then they either get it or nothing happens. And I don't think it's worth spending the money. So basically, then I think since I'm not gonna bid anything, it looks like the Applebot automatically then would win one of these randomly, and then you immediately resolve whatever. Oops. You immediately resolve whatever. So I'm gonna say they drew this one, and the rules say. Then the alphabet picks it and immediately plays it for the apple. Yeah, okay. So the Applebot effect for this card says add 4 cubes to 2 states determined at random. Wow, that's a lot. Okay, so we now determine 2 random states. First random state, 6 and 7. So 6 is northeast, 7, and that's Connecticut. So they basically have a virtual majority, enough to win state of Connecticut with that roll. So let's see the other state. 6 and 2. So, or sorry, 2 means Plains and 6 means Nebraska. So my purple cube goes away, and then they get 3 more added to Nebraska. Okay, so that's the strategy card. Now it goes to. Oh, I think I draw 6 more cards. Yeah, so I draw 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 2 cards in the South, Georgia and Texas. So I kind of want to focus on Georgia. I kind of want to just get that New Jersey card while I have the chance. I could just play this. Woman to the polls. Add 2 cubes to each of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. Oh, Francis Willard. Add 1 token and receive 2 buttons. That sounds like a nice card, too. So I'm going to go ahead and do the Women to the Polls card, though. Well, you know what? I'm going to do petition to Congress. So 1 Congress token and add 1 to 1 state of each region. Okay, so I'm going to do that. So I finally get my first Congress token out there, and then 1 to 1 state of each region. So California, or for the West Coast, I still don't know if it's a good strategy, if this makes sense for what I'm doing. I'm just going to continue to try to get at least 4 in California to start things off. Obviously, oh, okay, perfect. I'll add 4th to Kansas, meaning I get the Kansas card, which we'll take a look at here shortly to see if it's worth using. Right, well, I mean, I'm sure it is worth using right away. Okay, so Midwest, we'll take away the presence in Ohio. The Northeast, we're definitely going to add that final cube to New Jersey, and take this New Jersey state card. Then in Atlantic Appalachia, we're going to remove presence from Virginia, because that's one of the state cards that we want to go for. And then finally in the South, Texas and Georgia, I'm just going to take the cube from Texas. So now I have these 2 state cards that I just did. One is receive 2, but oh wait, did I do everything? Yep. Okay. 1 card, and I can only play 1 on this turn, but either receive 2 buttons, which is nice, or add 6 cubes in the Plains region. Well, there's no more. The problem is there's no more immediate need for me to go after the Plains region because they took Montana, I took Kansas. So 6 cubes is good, but there's not like an immediate need for it. I almost feel like there's more reason for me to take 2 buttons. So I'll keep the Kansas card kind of in my play area here, play the New Jersey card to get 2 more buttons. That's my turn. Now it's the Applebot. They have this minor verse Happer set. The Supreme Court ruled that the 14th Amendment did not grant suffrage to women because the Constitution doesn't confer voting rights to anyone. Okay. So play if there's okay, and of course there is. Play if there is at least one of those tokens in Congress removed from Congress and added to in Missouri. So my progress is immediately taken away. Remove it, and then add 2 cubes to Missouri. So now they have 4 in Missouri, but it's better Missouri than Ohio. All right, back to my turn. Well, there's no reason for me to hold on to this Kansas card, so I'm going to go ahead and use the state card, the Kansas state card, and I can do up to 6 cubes. I'm just going to take away the two of them, no more than 2 per state. So I'm taking 2 away from Nebraska. Then I can do 4 more cubes. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, not really sure if there's a good reason to put cubes out in any specific way, but okay. So northeast, it's really the south that we're going for, or the Atlantic Appalachia when we look at these state cards. So I have Frederick Douglass here, but he's all about northeast. This Women to the Polls is all about the northeast as well, so not a really immediate value there. Add a Congress token and receive 2 buttons. That sounds good. This one's only playable if the Civil War is in effect, which it's not anymore. Francis Harper, roll D8, add that number in the Atlantic region, no more than 1 per state. You know what? I'm going to try for the 15th Amendment now because it says playable if the Civil War is not in effect. Oops. Because I have all these buttons, and now I have 4 buttons, so a lot of reroll potential here. So that's a pretty powerful card that I think I definitely want to try to take advantage of. So I roll the red D6 here, and hope I don't want to have to spend a button, so I really want that 3 through 6. Oh my gosh, of course. I get 2, so I have to spend a button. There's no way I'm not going to use this card. Alright, geez, barely got the 3. Okay. So I get to add 2 tokens, Congress tokens, and then adding 8 cubes anywhere. So I'm going to prioritize. It says no more than 2 per state, so I'm going to do 2 cubes in Ohio to try to take Ohio. Then I guess 2 in Texas, 2 in Georgia, and then finally I'll say 2 in Virginia, since that's of course one of the state cards. So that's the 15th Amendment. Nice little card there. All right, now we go to the Applebot player. Their next card is called Horace Greeley, who says, an erstwhile women's suffrage supporter. Greeley, another abolitionist, supported the 15th Amendment, angering suffragists like Anthony and Stanton. So this says place 2 in each of New York and Connecticut. Well, I don't want to lose my presence in New York, but I did get the state already, so me losing 2 cubes there isn't horrible. And then Connecticut, they already have 2 in, or they already have 4 in Connecticut, so they get 2 more. Connecticut's very anti-suffrage, I guess. So that's the Aquabot player. Back to me. So I have the Francis Harper, which is a D8, and adding cubes to Atlantic and Appalachia, so I can try to work on getting Virginia and then Pennsylvania too. No, I'm going to do Francis Willard. I mean, I'm getting momentum here. I kind of want to keep that. So I'm going to play Francis Willard, which says add 1 token to Congress and receive 2 buttons. Not sure if you want to kind of not immediately get these out, but we'll find out, I guess. So that's the end of my turn. Now we do the Applebot. Gerrymandering. Remove all yellow from the 2 states with the most yellow. Okay, there you go. That's why you don't want to just bank on one color. Gerrymandering is the practice of drawing legislative maps to let politicians choose their voters instead of voters choosing their elected officials. So well, this state has the most at 3, and then there's a tie for second most between South Dakota and California. So I'm going to do a quick die roll. 1 through 3 for California, 4 through 6 for South Dakota, and it's South Dakota. So my yellow cubes also go away there. All right, well, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Okay, so next, I don't have any more op cards that would let me add. If I had more cards to do this, I would, but I don't have any cards for that. Oh, I do actually. So maybe I wanted to go for a campaign action or lobby action. I don't know how you get more campaigners. I'm sure the cards give you campaigners in this game. So I feel like since the lobbying action is based on the number of campaigners you have, it's not necessarily worthwhile doing till you get more campaigners. I'm just going to go with Francis Harper, which is roll a d8 and add that number of cubes in Atlanta and Appalachia. So a 2. Definitely going to spend a cube button to re-roll that 2. Oh my gosh, I'm spending another button to re-roll the 2. I'm spending another button to re-roll the 1. Gosh. Okay, 6. Wow. I was actually feeling good about my button situation, but Okay, so in terms of where I'm gonna, it's no more than one per state, so I can't quite get, still can't quite get Virginia. Pennsylvania at least now has zero opposition, and then I'll take away one there, one there, one there, one there. So not not a great card given how much many buttons I had to spend to make it worthwhile. So we'll play the next card here. 15th divide suffragists. Play of 15th Amendment is in effect. Did I yeah, remove all purple from the forest, so it's not in effect. So then we do a campaign action. Oops. So I'm realizing, I was like, wait a second, I did play a card that this was supposed to be out there permanently. I may have missed out on other cards that reference that, but we won't this time. So it says, play if the 15th Amendment is in effect, which it is. Remove all purple from the 4 states with the most purple. Jeez, and I lose 2 buttons. It says, many suffragists objected to an amendment protecting voting rights based on a citizen's race, color, or previous condition of servitude, but not gender. So remove all from the 4 states with the most. Okay, well, the most is Kansas. Then Virginia's 2. Oh my gosh. And then we have all the other states that I'm just going to have to pick randomly somehow. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's no 9-sided die. If there was 8-sided die, it would have worked out perfectly. 1, 2, 3. Ugh. I don't really know how to do this randomly. I'm just gonna have to pick a random region, I guess, with their D6. 5. And there's no purple in 5. Okay. 6. Okay, so 6 is Northeast, and there's 1 in New Jersey, 1 New York, so I'll just 1, 2, 3 New York, 4, 5, 6 New Jersey, 5, so New Jersey goes away, and we'll do that all over again. Pick a region. 6 again, which is Northeast, and now there's only 1 purple, which was New York, so that goes away. So that card was very devastating. All right. Let's see here. Uh, Sorry, I posted this in a Facebook group for solo gamers, and it was denied. And the rules say limit your limit promotion to once per week. And the last time I did submit something was back on September 13th. So today's the 28th. That's over 2 weeks ago. So I'm not sure why they declined it. Okay, so with that said, I'm just going to play this card. Women to the polls, 2 cubes in each of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware, because that's seems good. So I'll do one of each color for each of those states. New Jersey, that got wiped clean. New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and then Delaware. So I removed the Aquabot influence. Okay. That was, yeah, then we go back to, oops, the Aquabot player's turn. Place 2 in each of New York and New Jersey. Wow, that's kind of cruel. So my 2 New Jersey cubes immediately go away, and then my 1 cube in New York goes away, and then also they get to add 1 of their cubes to New York. So I still technically came out ahead, but barely after those 2 turns. Okay, so I have Frederick Douglass, which is a roll 8, and add that number to the Northeast. No more than 1 per state. It's tempting. But I also kind of want to make progress on getting more cubes in Texas and Georgia. And in order to do that, I could do a campaign action, but in order to make a campaign action in the South, I have to move a campaigner, which costs me a button. I feel like it's worth doing that. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and try it. I first roll 2 dice because I have 2 campaigners. I got a 2 and a 4. Okay. So that makes me a little happy, because what I'm going to do now is spend a button to move, I'll say, the yellow campaigner down to the south. So I'm going to have the purple campaigner take the 2, and we'll just place 2 back, or take 2 cubes away. I don't know if I still don't understand if it's better to try to remove cubes or place cubes, but they're going to take 2 cubes away there. Then in the south, I have 4 yellow that I now get to place, and of course I'm going to place 2 in Texas to take the Texas state card, and then 2 in Georgia. So the Texas state card that I can use now is add 6 cubes in the South region, no more than 2 per state. So I'm going to do that right away, and I'm going to go ahead and place the next cube that I need For Georgia, take the Georgia card, which I can't use right away this turn. So that's just one of my 6. And then for the remaining 5, I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just remove as much presence as I possibly can from the opposition. And that's the campaign action. So I'll put this Texas card over there. I'm going to say I used the Union. I don't think I picked a card that I technically used for that action. So now we go to the final play of this turn for the Applebot player, which is Old Dixie. I had 1 in each of... Okay, so I'll just do that. 1 of... Again, I'm literally redoing what I just did. So Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. So at least I did get Georgia before they did that, and then Florida. So okay, so then that was actually the last phase of the turn, or action of the turn. Round, I guess. Round of the turn. Round of the phase. So now we move into the final, the cleanup phase, which nothing I think has to happen here. So what we'll do is just advance the turn marker to turn 3. And I'm going to stop there for now. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, or for those that end up watching this later on our YouTube channel. Definitely... Oh, this is the wrong camera for this. Like and subscribe to Talking Cardboard, and I'll try to finish this up in the near future. So subscribe so you'll get notified the next time I go live to finish out this solo session of Votes for Women. Right now, I don't think things are looking very good. I need 4 cubes in a state. And I need that for at least, I think, 36 states or something like that. So I have a lot of ways to go, but we'll try our best here. So